This story is titled On My Wedding Day, I exposed my fiancé, I played the video of his cheating, and he drunkenly confessed his affair with my stepmother. My mother passed away when I was 16, leaving my father utterly heartbroken. For 2 years, he devoted himself entirely to raising me and my younger sister Emily. Then he met Sarah, who became his wife and our stepmother. At first, I was resistant to her presence. I felt no one could ever replace my mom, but Sarah never tried to take her place. Instead, she positioned herself as a friend, someone supportive and understanding. Over time, she earned my trust. I helped me pick out prom dresses, gave me advice about college, and was always there when I needed someone to talk to about relationships. Eventually, I considered her family. 4 years ago, I met John at work. He seemed perfect, successful, charming, and the type of person who could light up a room. What really stood out was how effortlessly he fit into my family. He bonded with my dad over golf, chatted with Emily about her favorite reality shows, and formed a connection with Sarah through their shared love of yoga and meditation. After 2 years of dating, John proposed during a family trip. It felt like a dream come true. Sarah was deeply involved in the wedding preparations, helping with everything from choosing the venue to attending my dress fittings. I thought I was incredibly lucky to have such a supportive stepmother. 2 days before the wedding, everything unraveled. My cousin Ben, one of John's groomsmen, asked to speak to me privately. He looked pale, almost sick, as he showed me a video he had recorded during John's bachelor party. In the video, John, visibly drunk, bragged about his affair with Sarah. He described how it started at last year's Christmas party and revealed in excruciating detail how they would meet at hotels while pretending she was attending yoga classes. What broke me was his admission that proposing to me was just a ploy to keep their affair hidden. Shocked and devastated, I didn't know what to do. But Ben encouraged me to dig deeper. So, we did. We recovered deleted text messages between John and Sarah, uncovering hundreds of exchanges where they planned their meetings. Sarah's credit card bills showed frequent charges at hotels on days she was supposedly at yoga. I even went to the hotels they used the most. One manager recognized them and allowed me to view security footage of them checking in together multiple times. The evidence was overwhelming. It was like a nightmare. While I had been working extra hours to save for our wedding, my fiancé was betraying me with my stepmother. At first, I considered canceling the wedding quietly, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that wouldn't be enough. Canceling without explanation would leave room for whispered rumors and twisted narratives, likely painting me as the irrational one. No, they needed to be exposed for who they truly were. On the day of the wedding, instead of walking down the aisle in my expensive white dress, I arrived wearing jeans and an old t-shirt. Guests were confused, whispering amongst themselves. Sarah rushed over, trying to escort me to the bridal suite, insisting we could fix whatever was wrong. John looked nervous but tried to act calm and collected. I took my place at the altar. When it came time for the vows, I signaled to the AV technician we had hired to handle the video screens. Instead of our carefully curated wedding video, the footage from John's bachelor party began playing. Every shocking, vile detail echoed through the speakers. Then came the security footage from hotels and their text message exchanges, displayed for all 200 guests to see. The room erupted into chaos. Sarah tried to escape, but my uncles blocked the exits. John stood frozen, stammering that he had been drunk and joking in the video. My father, overwhelmed by the betrayal, collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital. Afterward, some guests criticized me, saying I went too far and should have handled the situation privately. But after enduring over a year of lies and humiliation, I felt they deserved every second of public exposure. If they had wanted privacy, they should have thought of that before betraying me and my family so thoroughly. Now, my father remains in the hospital under observation. The stress of everything has taken a toll on his health. Sarah hasn't returned home since that day, and John continues to call and text me, begging for a chance to explain himself. I've blocked his number on every platform, but he finds new ways to try to reach me. Emily, my sister, is staying with me because she doesn't want to be alone in the house, surrounded by the memories of what Sarah and John did. As I try to piece my life back together, I'm left grappling with the realization that every happy memory from the past few years, family dinners, vacations, holidays, feels tainted. Were those moments of laughter and connection genuine? Or were they just opportunities for Sarah and John to sneak around behind my back? The betrayal cuts deeper than I ever imagined. For now, I'm focusing on supporting my father and Emily as we navigate this storm together. I don't know what the future holds, but one thing is certain. At least the truth is out. They can no longer hide behind the facade of family unity and love. It's a small comfort, but it's a step toward healing. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since I exposed John and Sarah during my faux wedding, and things have only gotten worse. I assumed that playing the video would be the end of it, that they would flee in humiliation, and I would be able to start rebuilding my life. Instead, it feels as if I've opened Pandora's box. Sarah has emerged not to apologize or express regret, but to try to dominate the story. She wrote a dramatic email to our entire extended family, friends, and even some of my workplace. She portrayed herself as an innocent victim, duped by John. She said my father was constantly working, which he wasn't, and that she was lonely and vulnerable, which she also wasn't. According to her, John chased her constantly until she caved in. In her email, she mentioned that she felt stuck and couldn't tell anyone since she didn't want to break up our family. She even had the arrogance to imply that she only helped arrange the wedding because she was looking for an excuse to break up with John. The entire email was filled with lies and phony apologies about how she never intended to upset me. Then, my cousin, who had taped the bachelor party video, decided to probe deeper. He works in IT and understands how to recover deleted emails. He discovered years of correspondence between Sarah and John, going back to when I was still in college, long before John and I met. They actually knew each other from the yoga studio where John used to work as an instructor. Sarah was one of his frequent students. During my final year of college, when I was stressed out, Sarah became insistent that I try yoga. She expressly recommended this studio and often praised their professors, particularly John. She made sure I only attended classes when John was instructing, claiming they were the best for beginners. Looking back, I recall her asking extensive questions about the classes, whether I thought John was a competent teacher, and even if I found him appealing. She was literally orchestrating the entire romance. The worst revelation came when my father checked on our family beach property. He discovered a wooden box concealed in the back of their wardrobe, filled with love letters between John and Sarah. These letters were not just recent, they dated back years. They laid out their plan for John to marry me so they could continue their connection without suspicion. They even joked that I would never notice because I was too preoccupied with my work. The wedding video has circulated throughout our neighborhood. People who weren't even at the wedding witnessed it. John's groomsmen began providing additional information about what he said at the bachelor party that wasn't captured on tape. Apparently, he made several vulgar remarks about having a mother and a daughter. Then, additional women started coming forward with stories about Sarah. 2 of Emily's high school friends contacted me independently. They both said Sarah attempted to seduce their elder brothers when they came over to study. One of the brothers was 19 at the time. Another member of our church confessed that Sarah had an affair with her husband 3 years ago. My stepmother appears to have a history of chasing younger men, particularly those connected to her daughters. My father was released from the hospital after 3 days, but he isn't the same person. His blood pressure remains elevated, and he rarely eats or sleeps. He spends the majority of his time in his study, looking through old photographs and family recordings. I visit him every day, but seeing him in such a way breaks my heart. He constantly apologizes to me, claiming that he should have spotted the signs. John finally stopped contacting me personally when I threatened him with a restraining order, but he has since propagated his own version of events. He claims I'm unstable and overreacted to innocent drunken conversation at his bachelor party. His family fully supports his lies. His mother even contacted me, saying I had ruined her son's life due to a misunderstanding. She argued that the hotel visits and messages could be explained if I only let John speak to me. I blocked her phone number. The ultimate blow came when Emily discovered Sarah's diary in a false bottom drawer in her craft room. What she described about her relationship with John made me physically ill. She described their encounters, future plans, and how they giggled about their secret at family gatherings. She even told her lover how much fun it was to help organize my wedding, selecting venues where they had already hooked up. Reading those diary notes destroyed something inside me. All the times I thanked her for her assistance with the wedding and confided in her about my connection with John, she was laughing behind my back. How did I miss what was going right in front of me? Update 2. It has been a month since my last report, and the situation has deteriorated in ways I never expected. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, something new emerges. The most significant development is that John lost his position at the investment firm. It turns out that his boss's wife attended the wedding and videotaped everything on her phone. The video spread across the office and eventually reached the company's board. They judged that John's actions reflected poor judgment and a lack of moral character. Because he dealt with high-net-worth clientele who trusted him with their money, the company concluded it couldn't take the risk of keeping him. John was dismissed last week without severance pay, but that's not the worst part. Sarah totally lost it. While my father was still suffering from everything, she emptied their joint accounts, taking nearly $200,000. She also grabbed all of the family jewels, including pieces that belonged to my mother and were intended to be passed down to me and Emily. My mother's engagement ring, her grandmother's pearls, and even the locket containing our infant pictures are all gone. Sarah left a dramatic statement, stating that years of mental manipulation and anguish pushed her to take drastic steps to protect herself. My father's lawyer is trying to find her, but she appears to have vanished. She even emptied her personal storage unit without anyone noticing. Emily eventually broke down and said something that made my blood boil. Last year, after her senior prom, she discovered Sarah attempting to seduce her boyfriend, Tom. Emily had gone upstairs to change out of her outfit while Tom waited in the kitchen. When she returned, she discovered Sarah cornered Tom against the fridge while wearing nothing but a silk robe. Tom appeared afraid. Sarah attempted to explain it as a misunderstanding, claiming she didn't expect anyone to be in the kitchen so late. She begged Emily not to tell anyone, fearing it would split the family. Emily, barely 18 at the time and terrified, remained silent. She broke up with Tom the next day, too embarrassed to tell him the true reason. More details concerning John and Sarah's affair emerge. Sarah's yoga friend contacted me, claiming their relationship at the yoga class was an open secret. Everyone assumed it was over when John moved to work in finance, but it appears they just became better at hiding it. The friend discovered old images from a yoga retreat of John and Sarah looking very cozy, shot while John and I were already dating. Sarah's yoga acquaintance also noted that she had a reputation for getting too close to male pupils, particularly younger ones. The studio owner had admonished her several times to respect professional boundaries. This validates Emily's friends' claims about Sarah chasing their brothers. My father has started divorce proceedings, but he is not doing well. His blood pressure is alarmingly high, and his doctor has prescribed additional medication. He rarely leaves the house, save for sessions with his lawyer. Every new revelation concerning Sarah's dishonesty seems to age him an additional year. What hurts the most is that Sarah's betrayal extended far beyond the affair. She actively sought to get close to vulnerable younger males in her family. She preyed on Emily's boyfriend while he was barely out of high school, manipulating events to get her way while seeming to be a loving stepmother. I keep discovering concealed receipts from places I never knew existed. A burner phone in her garden shed, gift cards, and notes from John hidden in her old books. It's as if she had a secret existence that ran parallel to ours. Some of John's buddies have reached out to apologize. They admitted knowing about the affair but were too afraid to say anything. One of them said that John would boast about how easy it was to deceive me because I worked so hard. He preferred my long hours since they allowed him more time with Sarah. The entire situation makes me feel unclean, as if every memory from the last 5 years, family dinners, holidays, vacations, is soiled. Were those just ways for them to sneak around behind my back? How many times did they laugh at me while professing to care about my well-being? Update 3, 6 months later. The fallout continues. Sarah reappeared in Arizona, living with a 35-year-old yoga instructor she met on a retreat. She originally attempted to challenge the divorce, saying that she deserved half of everything because my father's work schedule drove her to infidelity. Her lawyer dropped the case after my father's legal team produced evidence of her numerous indiscretions and money theft. Sarah received nothing in the settlement other than her own items, including the jewels and money she had stolen. We found some of my mother's jewels in pawn shops. The proprietors were sympathetic to our story and let us buy back a few pieces at cost, but my mother's engagement ring and most of the family antiques are still gone. Sarah alleges she sold them for cash and squandered everything. John's life has fallen apart. After losing his job, he was unable to pay for his apartment and returned to live with his parents. His attempts to find work at other investment firms were unsuccessful, as no one wanted to hire him after what transpired. A video of his bachelor party confession went viral on LinkedIn, and it now displays when people search for his name. Sarah left him for her yoga instructor when he lost his job and money. He recently showed up intoxicated at Emily's college graduation celebration, weeping about how he gave up his life for Sarah. When he attempted to force his way into the room to speak with me, security had to forcibly remove him. Even his parents have stopped defending him and are advising him to relocate out of state for a new start. The wedding venue contacted us to refund our entire money. They even wanted to utilize our story anonymously as a cautionary tale in their new contracts, which now include provisions barring unauthorized video displays during ceremonies. My father is doing better physically. His blood pressure is under control, and he is gradually reconstructing his life. He sold the beach house, unable to endure the memory of their affair, and relocated to a smaller home closer to me and Emily. He's also unearthed writings that show how thoroughly Sarah exploited us over the years. She documented instances in which she gaslighted him, such as shifting his keys and pretending he was forgetful or lying about agreements they never made. She did the same thing to me and Emily, quietly diminishing our confidence while trying to be helpful. Emily is succeeding at college, dating again, and feels lighter since she no longer needs to worry about Sarah preying on her boyfriends. She's even reconnected with her previous boyfriend Tom as friends, which has helped her heal from the trauma. As for me, I am not interested in dating right now. My friends continue to try to set me up, but I need time to trust again. The most difficult thing is not the betrayal directly, but recognizing that every good family memory from the last few years, family dinners, holidays, even tiny moments like watching TV together, was based on lies. I've moved to a new apartment, in a different part of town, changed my phone number, and blocked John and Sarah across all platforms. Some people still believe I went too far with the public exposure, but I do not regret it. Sometimes the truth requires witnesses, and sometimes the only way to deal with toxic people is to shed light on their actions. To anyone experiencing a similar betrayal, believe your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. I spent years disregarding red flags because I wanted to believe in the ideal family life. Never again.